Good morning, sports racers. Welcome back to Game Spasm. My name is Brian Hazard, or whatever, or Easy Hazard, or Hazmatic. I don't know, whatever you want to call me. No, not whatever you want to call me. Ironsworn Delve. Let's talk about book number 2 in the Ironsworn Majesty. Part of a trilogy, as far as I'm concerned. I'll talk another day about this guy here, which is not by Sean Tomlinson, the author of Ironsworn. This is a fan supplement, but an incredibly good one that I consider to be an essential add-on to the system. But here we have Ironsworn Delve. As we mentioned before, Ironsworn is sort of a seminal text in solo RPG play. It is award-winning, it is free, it is incredibly generous of Sean to give it away the way he does. And but the brother has to make money. So Ironsworn Delve came along. This is a paid expansion, and this is a great use of the word expansion for this particular book. Like, this is truly a legitimate expansion of the game, and very much like the original game, which sort of introduced me to the idea of using cards in a role-playing game to add to your assets. Ironsworn Delve also has cards, but these cards are a little bit different, and we'll get into that. And my God, is this thing auto-focusing a lot. I think perhaps we're going to have to turn that off because it's going to drive me crazy. Hold on a sec. Alright, so the downside is, not going to focus as it's not going to move around as much. That's not a downside, that's an upside. Alright, I think I fixed it. Anyways, pay attention. We don't have much time. We're short on time again, but I want to talk about Ironsworn because I like talking about my toys. I just want to say that the chick on the cover of Ironsworn Delve messes with me because she just looks like she doesn't want to be there. She's like, fine, if I have to. Anyways. Ironsworn Delve came out 2 years after Ironsworn. Ironsworn 2018, this is 2020, so in the midst of the pandemic, what a great time to add on to Ironsworn. And this adds, whereas the first book, it can be argued by some people that maybe Ironsworn is, a great place to start, but maybe didn't have enough meat on the bone to help people kind of figure out what they wanted to make and how they were going to do it. And he was like, fine. He was like, hold my spear. See what I did there? Because it rhymed with beer. Jokes are funnier when you explain them. So Ironsworn Delve came out, and this, whereas he had to spend a lot of the time in this book sort of explaining the entire structure of Ironsworn and making sure you know how to actually play the game, he didn't have to worry about that. So this thing is chock full. Ooh, a smorgasbord of new content to use with Ironsworn, and once again, sort of innovated in ways that we hadn't seen before. So with Ironsworn Delve, it sort of added the dungeon crawl, a narrative dungeon crawl, to the experience of Ironsworn. And what's funny is, he does do a thing in Chapter 3 that I like to grumble about, but only because everybody likes to grumble. Grumbling is fun. So the main thing that Ironsworn Delve added was the idea of having these sites that you could go into to adventure through. And he created this system of having like a theme and a domain for each site. And the game came with 20 of these cards, roughly 20. I don't know if that's the exact number, right? Well, some of them are blank, so no, more than that. So you could make your own, and you have I think there's like a reference card in here. Yeah, there's a couple reference cards for moves. But what you have here are themes and domains. And what was so cool about this, and I remember thinking that this is such a neat thing, whereas with the other ones I was like, I don't know, do I have to buy the cards? With this one I was like, I want to buy the cards. You have themes and you have a domain. And you literally, either choose intentionally based on what you want to have, what you want to see, or you shuffle. You put them next to each other, right? And then you dig this, right? So there's 2 tables, features and dangers, but the features are primarily on the domain, and the dangers are primarily on the theme, but not entirely. So by making these tables 2/3 on each, you create this really neat system of melding them together. And I just think it's so cool. And I'm sure this made it interesting for all the people out there who are creating Iron Journal or things online that are used for digital tools to play Ironsworn. Like, this isn't a table that you can you got to look from two different places. I don't know anything about computers. Maybe that's super easy, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, this is great. And so it creates these sort of bespoke oracles for the thing that you're going to go through, and there's a decent number of them. And not only, I love theme. So one of the things I really like about Delve is that it really gives more theme and more detail. I like detail. Like, on one hand, yes, let me make up my own story, but on the other hand, give me lots of Legos to build with, and that's what I like about this, and that's what I like about Iron Smith by Eric Bright. So you have these, and if you get into the book here, he gives you like plenty of detail on each type of why don't I look at the table of contents? No, we're not going to do that. Here we go, sites. So, it gives you a whole breakdown on how to make your sites, which sites are more realistic or make sense for the truths that you picked for your game, and then a lovely little bit of theme and description for each theme and each domain, and I love it so much. Like, I will reread these regularly, even like during play. I like the idea of this helping me to sort of come up with a place that I want to go into. He also was like, here's some that I made up for you. Here's the where it would be on the map of the Ironlands. Here's which themes and domains to use, and here's a description, and also here's the dudes that'd be in it. So if you're in a hurry and you just want like a quick site, you don't even have to roll one up. You can use one of the ones that Sean rolled up for you. He created these fantastic worksheets that now have like the denizen matrix on them. Hold on. There we go. Let's go. Let's get into it. Let's get in here. Juno Church worksheets. All right, so you have like a Delve worksheet that has the name of the denizens that are there, and a place to map out your quest in whatever way you see fit, whether that's actually making rooms or if it's just using circles and connecting them with lines. You can do either way, which is really cool. And you can fill out the matrix ahead of time, or you can just kind of fill it as you go. And then, oh my god, like a whole nother bestiary, like more stuff, more bestiary stuff. And I know that some people grumble, and I understand the grumble of like there's not enough art for you to know what something looks like. But I think this also makes sense, right? Like, because the whole point is like you're generating your own thing. So, although it is funny that like for the things that I absolutely don't need a picture of, like I know what a cave lion looks like, or well, I know what a lion looks like, but yeah, again, so tons of stuff added in here, lots more. Yeah, see, I'm glad there's a picture of a blighthound because I don't know what the fuck that is. And then the idea of anomalies, which is like almost like a combination between a site and a creature. It's actually like. It's so big that he even recommends using like the concept of the scene challenge to deal with it, which I think is fantastic. And then he gives some examples of some, complete with art this time. I like that. Oh, this is when you stay in the shower too long. Yeah. And this is when you empty the drain when you're done. And this is my dad walking to school both ways uphill. Oh, threats. Oh, okay. There's so many good things. Should I just get into threats now? Yeah, one of the mechanics that he added with Delves was threats, and the idea of adding a threat to your campaign means that you have your goals, right? You have your vows, the things that you're working towards, right? But if you want to have threats in your campaign, you can then have this be also filling up as you go, and he recommends putting like little mini baby squares inside the squares for your quest, so that you can show the threat filling up too. So it's possible that the threat sort of outpaces your vow, and even gives you rules for taking a break and letting it starts moving up. The threat advances, and what to do when that threat fills. A critique, if you will, is that I don't like the original Ironsworn character sheet anymore. Like I love the paperclip sliding thing. I'm spoiled by the Starforged character sheet, which I know I could just use it, but I'm such a theme snob that I'm like, no, because it looks like science, and I can't use that on a in an Ironsworn game. You'll also see that I'm using like the easy mode stat block or the stat array from the Lodestar. I think it's called Lodestar. The little they say like if you want to make the game, because Ironsworn is hard. It's already hard, so I use that. Okay, so my critique is that there is no version of this character sheet that includes the little boxes on it. It's not like I can't draw them myself. I understand, but he did provide this character sheet, right? And this character sheet does have the boxes on it, which is fine, but it's sideways. What am I supposed to? Not gonna turn the books. All right, fine. Maybe it's not a very good critique. Anyways, I love the idea of having this like this ominous other thing sort of moving forward, and him giving you a whole system for how to sort of resolve that. He also added in objects of power, which are treasures. One of the things in Ironsworn is that combat is sort of abstracted. Even equipment is very much abstracted, but he was like, you want goods, you want loot, I'll give you loot. And he figured out a way. Well, first of all, he figured out a way to do money, which I love. But then he also figured out a way to make things a thing. So you have these artifacts, and basically they enhance your assets, not your companions, but other assets. And I love that he even just refers to them as a MacGuffin right off the bat. Can we please put the book in here? Some example artifacts, which I think is really cool. And then he also has, so wait a minute, he has artifacts. What is this? Oh, objects of power. So artifacts and rarities. So you have artifacts, which are very much like treasures, and then rarities are what enhance your assets. Pay attention, please. I don't want to have to explain this to you incorrectly 3 times. And how to pay for that, and also the acknowledgement of like, if you're playing solo and you just want to give yourself stuff or just have 3 XP, you can do that too. So he talks about that, and then he gives you some example of the rarities, which is fantastic. I do love some of the art is fantastic. We have more oracles. Fine, let's touch the oracles now, since I'm here and I don't have a lot of time to make this video before I gotta go. So more articles. The aspect and focus articles are designed to sort of help you get a better understanding of the place that you are. I love the only thing I miss out of Ironsworn from Starforged, or not the only thing, but one of the main things is the descriptor focus table, which I think is such a good addition. But this is good too, especially sort of bespoke for this game. I also love that he has like 6 pages worth of oracles just for naming sites. So here's your site name format, your description, and the detail, and the namesake, and the place. This is to help you sort of, if you want to roll for a random site instead of just grabbing one out of here, right? If you want to do that, you can do that. We've also added in some new character oracles to help you get an idea of the your NPCs and such. Monstrosities are gigantic creatures that are in here now. We also have oracles for traps, which makes sense because we're now inside locations that'll be trouble. And one of the things I do like about when he made these sites is he didn't just stick to internal sites like a cave or a barrow or something like that. He went with like a pass over a high mountain, or primeval marsh, or a perilous forest, right? So these are locations, not necessarily like just dungeons. So these are still for wilderness exploration and that sort of thing. You can still very much have this in here. I would consider this an improved combat oracle. And you have the one from the original game, the combat action, but this does even more, which is kind of cool. This is oracles to help you pick what that threat would be. Like the imposing, impeding, I don't know. There's a word there. Not enough coffee. Another great piece of art. A lot of caves. And then you have the appendix. There are new moves, of course, that he added in order to make it so that you can go through delves. You've got the, maybe I can just find it right here. Reveal a danger. When you encounter a risky situation, when you traverse an area, find an opportunity. So these are like the two main ones you're going to be using while you're in there. Here we go, the new moves. Discover a site, delve the depths. So he adds a whole bunch of that. But what's also cool, so he adds all those additions. He also just adds some sort of fun ways to tweak your game a little bit over here on page 30. Now, Sean. Dear Sean, this is Brian. Name your things different. Name your things different. Where is it? Chapter 3? Do I not know how to use a table of contents? No. Finding your path. Okay. You go to chapter 3, finding your path. You get to chapter 3, finding your path, and then you get to tuning your experience. And I'm like, so, and then tuning your experience is another table of contents, which gives you a whole bunch of different options to change your game. So I don't know which one is it. Tuning my experience is just a table of contents for all these. I don't know. Just get rid of that part. This is finding your path. So, managing your sites and quests and how to do that sort of gives you an idea of ways to handle the sites that you build. The idea of risk zones, so things get tougher as you go, to sort of give it sort of a difficulty curve to the location. One of the things that I added immediately into my sessions was the learning from failure. So one of the downsides to Ironsworn versus Starforge is Starforge gives you many more opportunities to gain experience. You can gain experience from exploring, and you can gain experience from completing vows, and you can gain experience from bonds with each person, whereas with Ironsworn, you are much more limited in where you can get experience. You get experience from vows. Bonds come a lot slower, and there is no exploration, benefits. So the idea of learning from failures is great because it did give you a new way to get a little more experience, and it's not necessarily guaranteed. It's not a windfall of XP, but it does give you something, and it's as simple as just adding a new track to your sheet as a failure track that you can use to slowly benefit from the horrible things that the dice are going to do to you during your game. This is an example of how to map your site, but also the idea of relationship maps, like how they, the creatures inside a site may relate to each other. Not limited to sites, though. You could also use that outside of it. I really like this. Humans love dice. We just love dice. So I love the idea of having a section where he talks about different ways to treat your dice. The first one being just don't use your dice. Look at the lists. This is another upside to being analog when you're using these oracles, is that you can actually look at them and say, okay, what would make sense here? What do I want to have? What's most logical for this scenario? Versus when you're doing the digital thing and you're just clicking the button to see what pops out, which is super convenient and makes it fast. But it's also kind of like hard mode, right? Like the idea that I'm just gonna shake this and whatever comes out, that's absolutely what I'm gonna try to use. I like that, but sometimes my brain is too tired and I don't want to do that. So I like the idea of just sort of, sometimes using, the next thing down or transposing the numbers. Then we have the let it ride option, which is interesting, which is roll 2 dice, and you're going to use them 3 times before you get rid of them. Like if you delve the depths, and then you, if you do a strong hit, weak hit, reveal a danger, then you toss them and then roll new ones. However, probably the most fun idea, and I don't think I have enough D10s. Maybe I do. I love the idea of just having a shit ton of D10s, rolling them on the table, and then using the top and bottom most ones, right, as the game goes. It's a little bit quicker. It feels mystical to have, you're reading the chicken bones on the plate sort of thing. I like that. That's a really neat idea. Also the idea of giving dice a theme. Sean really built on this with Sundered Isles, where he has the D10s that have different colors that mean different things for the different moons in the sky. Wait, I'm not supposed to do. This is, oh, what a delicious thing. This is smoke weed every day. This is not what I meant to do. Just say no. Or you can use a digital dice roller, but gross. Also, I like the idea that if you want to play without themes and domains, if you just want to sort of have a site and I don't know, raw dog it, you can just use the alternate version of this, and this is like a sort of like a generic table for exploring. He talks about using multiple themes or domains, but just 2 of themes or 2 domains, not 2 of both, because it gets too watered down. Stealing from other stuff, of course, which we all do. I like that he added a new move in Delve that like basically gets used by I think most people all the time. Then is like the check your gear, sort of gives you a way to actually say, do I have a thing? And that makes it sort of interesting. Here's a shot on one shots. We already talked. We already hit the sites. I'm kind of going all over the place, but this is it's essential. Yeah, it's essential. Do you have to have Delve in order to enjoy Ironsworn? No. But also yes. Like I know you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But this is such a wonderful addition, and I got to tell you, there's just something about having the hard copies that is lovely. There are advantages to playing off PDF, especially being able to search really fast for things. But I haven't found that to be too much of a problem with Sean's books. Bless his heart, he does tend to have an index in the back of things, and the table of contents is fairly good. Well, hold on, let me see if I can give him a hard time. If I go into here and I say, tuning your experience. No, see, there's a section for everything. It's fantastic. It's well written. It's good. So this is great. This just made a good game even better. And these are tarot size, which is another neat thing. At first I was like, but then I can't sleeve them. But what I found was there's no point in actually sleeving each and every one of these because I'm only using some of them sometimes. I don't shuffle them. And also, by the way, the decks are so inexpensive that the price of sleeves would be the equivalent of the price of a new deck. And the decks are biodegradable and the sleeves are not. So if the deck really gets bad, I will replace the deck. Instead of using sleeves, if I'm going to be playing, what I realized is I can put these cards inside these sheets here, right? And I don't need sleeves because then I can just write on the sleeve with a dry erase marker, and then I have what I need for my game. So, all right, that's enough, kids. I think that's enough for today. I got to start getting ready to go. This is Ironsworn Delve. If I play Ironsworn, I play with Ironsworn Delve all the time, at least some component of it, because it is very modular. But the idea of having sites, and truth be told, I've done very little site delving, as you can see by the lack of a map in my True Confession site worksheet here. I haven't read Delve. I think I've read Ironsworn more than I've read Delve, but this is an example of these are so juicy and delicious and so well written. Like, you're not going to find typos, and I feel like when I read Sean's work of him explaining to me how to do things in the game, it just feels so like a wise teacher, like a wise, well-versed DM who knows what's going on, and he's like, okay, listen, it's okay, relax, settle down, let me teach you how to do this, let me show you this, it's going to be okay. And it does, it adds, and I actually like that. I don't know if he intentionally separated Ironsworn and Delve into 2 different things, or if he wrote one and then the other one he went, aha, and started making another one. But I think it's great that it's separated. I think it's great that somebody can get their hands on a copy of Ironsworn and they don't even have to know that Delve exists. And there's plenty of game here, right? This is a great place to start. And then, finding out about this and grabbing it, and knowing that there's more meat on the bone to be had. These 2 things together are dozens of hours of play. And there's a lot of people who don't want the low fantasy aspect of it, like the Vikingish low fantasy, and so they've hacked it and they've put it in other things and they've made new asset cards, and we'll get into it in a different video. But this is great. And so the next video, probably, we'll see the fates. I'll roll my handful of D10s and we'll see what happens. But the next video is probably going to be about this fantastic beast right here by Eric Bright, who is an absolutely fantastic contributor to the whole world of Ironsworn and Starforged. In the things that he has added, I mean, look at this damn thing. This is just as big. This is the trilogy right here. Actually, it's bigger. It's actually bigger. And then on top of that, he did his own little expanded Oracle. We're gonna get into this. But that's Delve. This is part 2 of what makes Ironsworn such a fantastic system for solo role playing. And now we got to share it together. Wasn't it fun? Okay. In the comments, can you please tell me whether anyone has actually written anything on these? Has anybody had the audacity? I feel like it's not that I'm not creative. I'm not saying I'm not creative. I can be creative. I can say things, but I feel like I'm not very good at coming up with things like these, right? Like why am I showing you up here? There's I'm not very good at coming up with features and dangers and that sort of thing. Like I don't know what to put on here. I don't know what I would put. But I will say, what's interesting to me is that these are very much like the precursor of... That was totally on accident. Okay, in Starforged, they have these things called precursor vaults. These are the precursor to precursor vaults, and derelicts and that sort of thing, which all I have to do is say derelict, and I'm like, yeah. But we're not on Starforged yet. Would you please stay focused? Okay, we're doing Ironsworn. God, what do I got to do with you people? Okay, that's it. We're done. Thank you for tuning in to Mindless Ramble about something I think we just both like. And stay tuned for more Mindless Rambles. Carry on with courage. See you in the next one. Bye.